So I had a prediction. I spoke to somebody and I predicted that some people will actually close up their farm for this main reason: the rising cost of feed. So I was discussing with someone and I said these are moments where many people will get out of the pig farming business, and of course I'm sure you probably know someone that is already thinking of stopping because of this cost. These guys feed a lot, and if you really want to enjoy the farming endeavor, you have to feed them well. And the cost of your entire of raising them is predominantly going to be spent on feeds. So feeds take about 80% of your input, of your money input, your monetary input. Now, having that level of input, 80%, and you now have, let's draw a picture that you budgeted maybe 1 million to feed a certain number of animals, maybe 10 animals. Maybe you wanted to fatten 10 animals and you budgeted 1 million, for instance. Now, your budget was moving around the prices that you had at that time. Now, if you look at the present cost of things, you would see that your 1 million may have had to increase to 1.3 million, if not even almost 1.5 million, or even more. Because some months back, just some months or weeks back, we're getting even the cheap feed, the cheap PKC was about maybe 5,000, 6,000 in a more maybe in a retail store. Maybe if you get it from a more cheaper place, maybe 5,005. And right now we're hearing 9,005, 10,000 for industrial PKC. That's almost times two. So if your budget was 1 million, you understand when I said your budget may eventually have to increase to 1.5 million. Now, you will be able to stay afloat if you had like an additional, if you have the right source. Let's assume it's just like you have a way of going around that. Of course, you can still recuperate your money back from the sales you make, because if you were going to sell the animals maybe for 180, 200, of course now you would have an increase to the final selling price. Obvious, or hopefully you get the a market for them. So I understand that the cost price will reflect on the selling price, but this is the issue with small farmers, with small farm holders. If you came in with a budget, maybe, and that budget was gotten maybe from a loan or from the sales, maybe you had something you did and then you got maybe 1 million, you wanted to use it to fatten pigs, and then you then get this increase, it will reduce, it will affect people in that condition, reducing their ability to fatten the right way. And some will have to sell off some animals and trying to balance everything, and some, which is where many people tend to, will now short feed the animal, which will lead to a longer time to raise them. Now, this is my advice. How do you cope in situations like this? This is my advice from the little experience I have. Number one, you see this, because I don't think I'm not addressing the idea of soya beans or not soya beans. I'm sure you already understand my take on that. I'm not saying it's not wrong to use soya beans, but we are talking about affordability here. So let's put soya beans aside. But even with this, before we count the PKC, the brewery spent grain, the brewery waste, the wheat, and the likes as cheaper way of affording the feeding of these animals. But the issue now is that those same cheaper ways are on the rise now. So this is my advice to you, which I have gotten from the little time these things has been increasing, is that you should consider bulk buying. You should consider bulk buying. You see, those of you that you depend on going to a retail store. Now, I for instance, now from one of my retail customer I know, she sells at maybe 9,000. She said the PKC got to her site at 7,500. Now, 7,500, she makes maybe about maybe 1,500 or 1,000 or thereabouts on each of those bags. Now, for those of you that have the animals, or you maybe you have substance, it doesn't, even if you have 10 animals, rather than you going to a retail store and you're getting one bag of feed or two bags of feed, I would advise you just buy a ton or 2 tons. I understand that you will say, for those of us that have large farms, it works better for us. But the truth is, if you know you're going to use 20 bags of feed in the space of maybe 3 months, I would advise you just go home to buy the whole 20 bags. Find a way to. You'll be saving money in doing that. You'll be saving a particular amount of money in doing that, which will go a long way in reducing your feeding cost. So that's one of the advice I would give, is that try not buying from retail store as much as you can. Like, I can tell you now, wheat offal, they sell wheat offal in this environment. Before, it was even over 20,000, but they sell wheat offal maybe around 17,000 or close to 20,000 at this point. And if you go to the factory, you could get wheat offal for 10,000 or even sometimes less than 10,000. So if you bulked the purchase of wheat offal, do you see the amount? Like, is I'm telling you, one of the secrets we do here. So I know where I get wheat offal from. I got wheat offal for as low as 7,005 some weeks back or thereabout. 7,005. There was a time when is it sometimes earlier this year, when wheat offal was still on the eye then, and this wheat offal was maybe 22,000 in this 22,005 or so in this environment, and I was getting it around maybe 12,000 somewhere else. So you need to understand that. Don't be very quick to just purchase whatever you see in your environment. Try and do your research. If you have to go to the company, they just cost you. Sometimes, even if you have to partner with someone to get it down, maybe because of the transportation cost, which you may want to talk about. But it's better than, like, look at the difference. They're selling 22,500 at a point in this environment for wheat offal. I'm getting it for 12,000. That's almost 10,000 difference. That's a lot, significantly a lot. So try and look at that while considering your feeding. Try and find a way to always cheaply get these things. Don't always lean on the retail store. Of course, if you are just wanting to buy one bag, I know you don't want to go to a company or transport one bag. So obviously, you understand what I'm saying. But plan around what I'm saying, and this may help you to be able to cheaply feed your animals. Then the other thing I would say is, find a way to also meet these other local producers of different things. Maybe the food items. Maybe you go to cassava companies. All these companies that you will be able to get their waste. Try and find a way to talk with them. Sincerely, if you're able to reduce your feeding cost, you would enjoy pig farming more, and you'll be able to feed your animals more rather than short feeding them. So I'm very passionate about farmers feeding their animals well, and that's why I thought to release this video on how you can cheaply feed your animals, even though the cheap feeds, that what we call the cheap feeds, are on the rise. This is like an intervention that can help you still beat that, in spite of whatever price you may be seeing in your retail store. You can still find a way to be resourceful, and I really hope and wish you all the best in your farming endeavor. Alright guys, thank you for joining. Bye bye.